Augenblick. It is a
Aaron
pleasure to
Augenblick,
chat with
yes.
you today.
Yeah, great to talk to you.
Listen, from adult animation,
Yeah.
Comedy Central comedies to now a kids show. Uh, the style of animation, I mean, the production of animation is animation is animation is animation, but there's got to be some jokes that you're like, this would be hilarious, but we can't put this on PBS.
I don't remember that happening. And I'm being very sincere in that because, so this year is my 25th anniversary of my studio. I opened in 1999 and I got my start at MTV. I worked there for a couple of years. I worked on a show called Daria, which people remember, and left pretty quickly to start my own studio. And my entire mission statement was adult animation, right? When I started my studio, I was like, in the world of like, I was a big fan of underground comics. I loved Fantagraphics and The Watchmen and Dark Knight and all the darker, weirder, but then obviously Robert Crumb and Daniel Clowes. This is Fanboy Nation, so I'm fanboying out on all of my favorite comic artists. I hope I hope you appreciate it.
How dare you stay in theme?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love it. And like so for me, I was inspired by those people, also Chris Ware, like all of the, more adult leaning cartoons. Ralph Bakshi was an influence, people like that. And so I was all about making adult animation. And luckily, my timing was good because we were right around the time that a lot more adult animation was starting to get made and be seen. We coincided with the creation of Adult Swim and, seeing more primetime animation. And, for me, I was all about adult animation and I did it for over 20 years and I still do it and I still love it. But after 20 years, I was, wondering, well, what's the future of the studio look like? What are the things that I haven't gotten to try that I think would be interesting experiment? And it was kids stuff. And also, more in the adult space, things were beginning to look a bit homogenized. Things were starting to look standardized and the same. You were seeing a certain kind of primetime sitcom look on most adult animation. Whereas in the kids' world, I was seeing all this like really exciting, sort of adventurous new styles of animation, things like Adventure Time and City of Ghosts and all these like really interesting types of kids animation was happening. So I tried it out. So all that is a long-winded way of saying that for me, I got to do so much dark, disturbing, creepy, weird, funny animation that by the time I did a kids thing, I kind of had it out of my system. And for me, I'm just trying to do the same thing I ever did, which is to make really funny, engaging, hopefully visually exciting animation. It just so happens that this stuff is for kids. So you kind of like readjust your brain, in the same way that what we did with Superjail was very different than what we did with Wonder Shows and with what we did with Ugly Americans was quite different than what we did with the Jellies. Every show you need to do the best thing you can to make that show the best show it can be, right? And often that's different. Often, your approaches to comedy, to style of animation, to tone changes to befit what the show is that you're trying to make. So for City Island, it just very quickly became a very utopian, optimistic, silly comedy tone. And I just love it. And I love working on it. And I love working on a very positive feeling show. I have a lot of fun with it. And there's just as much humor to be had with that tone than anything I've ever done. So I haven't had that problem where I feel like, oh, I wish I could do this, but I can't because it's a kid show, because it's just not the show that we're making. We're making an inherently kid show. And also there's so much precedent for funny kid shows with that tone, things like The Muppet Show or Sesame Street or Looney Tunes that are kid friendly, but yet also edgy in their own way.
I do want to go back to Daria one moment. All right, because we've heard a
Sure.
million rumors and I've never gotten confirmation, so I'm going to finally get it today. Was Janeane Garofalo the inspiration for Daria?
No, she
Okay.
was not. Everybody loved Janeane Garofalo, and I've heard that she was a fan of the show. There was someone in the office, honestly, the birthplace of Daria was Beavis and Butthead.
Right.
So, really the spirit of Daria was Mike Judge because she was on Beavis and Butthead. She was one of their classmates. And that tone she had, that kind of snarky, over it sort of tone, that was in the original Beavis shorts. And I think when they moved to doing their own show, they found one of the people that was in the office already that did the voices for it. So I have never heard confirmation that like, oh, we were trying to do our version of Janeane Garofalo. I've never heard that personally.
Yeah, I blame her for my affinity for the snark.
Daria or Janeane Garofalo or both?
Like
Both.
starting with Janeane and then going into Daria.
I had a big crush on Janeane Garofalo growing up.
I think we all did at one point in time.
Are you Gen X?
I am. I'm
All
tail end of
right.
Gen X. So,
Gen X Nation, yes.
Yeah.
Most Gen Xers that grew up in the 90s had I would say you had a crush on either Janeane Garofalo, and for me, Christina Applegate was a big crush I had.
Those are in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Janine's humor
And Lisa
and
Simpson.
intelligence.
Lisa Simpson was also a crush. I love Lisa Simpson.
Yeah. I think it was Janine's wit and humor that did it. Whether you agree with her politically or not, it was that delivery and her tone that set it off. Yeah.
For sure.
When you create a show like this with City Island, and it's inherently for children, it's PBS, it's going to be family based, yet parents aren't going to sit there and think it's mind numbing.
Right.
How important is it that you get the parent reaction of thank you for doing something like this? It's great for my kid. And thank you also for not wanting me to drink myself to oblivion every half hour that I sit through it.
Yes, there's a lot of kids programming now that can be a little jarring to listen to see. A lot of that stuff is a little more on the YouTube side. So yeah, no, we get a lot of parents that are just excited to have a show they can watch with their kids, that they can both watch it together and both enjoy it. And that's by design. I mean, part of the PBS mission is to have shows that encourage co-viewing, which is kids, their siblings, their parents all watching it together and enjoying it together. And then hopefully, when the show ends, the experience of the show doesn't end, that you would finish watching it and then you can say, oh, that was really funny when this happened. Now, this, that, what to visit an art museum? Do we have an art museum in our town? And that like the family enjoyment together, is impactful. It's impactful and it creates, a spirit of, togetherness. So that's pretty cool. So I grew up, like we mentioned earlier, watching shows like The Simpsons, watching the Looney Tunes, watching the Muppets, watching Star Wars. Like we watched that as a family, all that stuff. And it was some of the best memories I have, or the whole family just laughing or, just enjoying something together. It's pretty cool when you pull it off, that it's not like, oh, here's a kid's show that I can sit through, or here's an adult show that maybe I'll just like, possibly, you can watch parts of it, that you can actually watch the whole thing together. And it's just fun. It's fun for everybody. And, some of those jokes, sometimes the family, the parents and the kids laugh at different things, and sometimes they laugh at the same thing. And, by design, we're making a show, like a lot of the same people that work on our Adult Swim shows or our Comedy Central shows are the same writers that are working on City Island. So we're just trying to make ourselves laugh and create really funny, engaging stories. And just because it's for kids, that doesn't change.
Is there a moment where the temptation comes into like the 80s aspect of cartoon making? Like, not that it was a half hour. Everyone thinks that like all 80s cartoons were just half-hour commercials for the toys, but they always forget like He-Man, Gem, Transformers, what's it called? G.I. Joe always had that like 30-second end tag message of like, here's this moralistic aspect that we need to focus on.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. The NBC, what was it? The More You Know. Yeah, they would do those tags. they always felt a little heavy-handed. It's kind of what we try not to do on City Island, which is go, oh, here's the lesson. And when we do that, we try to do it with humor. So hopefully, for us, the curriculum, because this is a PBS show, so it's not enough to just be like fun and funny. It needs to be meaningful as well. We like have the curriculum embedded as the impetus of the story, not tacked on at the end, or not like the last. So it's like, like some of those He-Man episodes, it would be, half an hour people, pummeling each other or sword fighting or flying around. And then the last 30 seconds is some sort of lesson you're supposed to take from that. Thank you. We try to, make the curriculum more integrated, where it's like the inspiration for the story.
Well, I'm very excited to talk about the curriculum and getting everything integrated for PBS, but we do need to mention and not neglect this. The new season starts the day after Independence Day on July 5th. You have an incredible cast of guests, Rachel Bloom, Vanessa Bayer, Rosie Perez. I love Rosie. Rosie's like one of the sweetest ladies ever. When you pull the cast like this together and then are able to sit there and come back for another season, how gratifying is it? Because you've had a couple of shows that ran shorter than they should have. We've had 1 season, 2 seasons. Like, why isn't Ugly Americans still on the air at this point? What's it like when you get the kids show and like, boom, season 2, and here we come with more?
Yeah. The first of all, you're right. We have incredible guest stars. In addition to our main cast, are just as mind-blowing as anyone, because we have Kimiko Glenn with Kimia Behpoornia. We have James Adomian, James III, Branson Reese, Rachel Pegram, just an incredible cast. And the thing is with our show, because every episode has so many, you can kind of see here some of our characters. We have so many characters that we end up needing a lot of voices. So we only work with people that can do like a lot of different voices. So all of our voice actors, totally incredible and amazingly versatile. And it's just so funny. So we're really lucky to be able to work with them. We also have, like you said, Vanessa Bayer, Rosie Perez. I'm a big Spike Lee fan. And as a Brooklynite and someone that has had a studio in Brooklyn for over 2 decades, the idea of being able to direct Rosie Perez in Brooklyn, I recorded her in Brooklyn, was one of the highlights of my career. So that was a lot of fun. And she plays a character called Rosie the Rivet. She's a rivet that is kind of the, we can do it model of character. So that was a lot of fun. So we have a great cast, we have great guest stars, and it's a total treat. So that's the answer to your first question. The second one about being able to do a second season, what a blast, because first seasons are tough. I mean, all seasons are tough, but the first season, you're really figuring out like, what is this show? What is this world like? Who are these characters? What do they want out of life? So you're really doing a lot of world building so that, when you don't get a second season, it's like, oh no, that's all that work is wasted. So with the second season, you figured all those kind of big questions out. So then it just becomes, okay, where do we want to go now? What do we get to do that's going to be really fun? Where can we push the edges? What can we see that we haven't seen yet? What can we see from these characters that are going to be new places for them to go and new experiences for them to go through? So the new season, we just had so much fun. And then in addition to 20 new episodes, we did 10 music videos. So that was a whole new added layer of exploration for us. So it was absolutely a lot of fun to do a second season.
Awesome. Aaron, I'm going to leave you with this. Why do we need to tune in Independence Day weekend after we're done shooting off fireworks to hang out with you and City Island? And where can we find you guys on social media if we want to connect with you?
The best place on social media for us is our Instagram. It's at City Island PBS. So definitely check that out. That's where we have all kinds of stuff there. We have behind the scenes sketches. We have information about the show. We have character art. We have stills. We have music. So that's probably the best place to go. We also have our website, which is augenblickstudios.com. Futurebrainmedia.com is also a good place to watch animation for us. And for City Island, everything PBS Kids, the PBS Kids app, PBS Kids on television, the PBS Kids gaming app, you can also see City Island, and most major streamers, you can see City Island, from Amazon to, like I said, PBS Kids to Hulu. Are all places that you can watch City Island. And honestly, the PBS Kids YouTube channel is great for watching City Island as well. So there are a number of ways to watch City Island. So you're right, watch fireworks, enjoy the holiday with your friends and family, and then spend all day Friday watching City Island.
Aaron, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. I could talk to you all day about comics and animation, everything else, and then try to pitch you my own demo. But listen, man, it's been a great time. Can't wait to meet you face to face when you come to LA.
Hell yeah. Thanks so much.
All right.
Thanks
Take care.
Varsity.